Have you ever achieved everything the world calls success and still felt an emptiness that nothing could fill? Stay until the end, because this story will reveal the real reason why those who have everything cannot find peace. My name is Michael Harrison, and at 45 years old, I had achieved everything society tells you that you need to be happy. CEO of a tech company worth $500 million, penthouse overlooking Central Park, luxury cars in the garage, investment portfolio that generated more money while I slept than most people made in a year. Business magazines featured me on their covers. Young entrepreneurs called me their role model. I was the living definition of the American dream. But that Thursday night, sitting alone on my rooftop terrace, staring at the Manhattan skyline that I had conquered, I felt something that terrified me. Absolute emptiness. A black hole in my chest that no amount of money could fill. And for the first time in my life, I seriously considered ending it all. Because if you have everything and still feel like this, what's left? If this story is touching something inside you, hit that like button right now. My wife Sarah had left me 8 months ago. Took our son David with her. It wasn't because of lack of money, obviously. It was because, in her words, I was married to my company and my ego, not to her. She said our son didn't really know who I was, that I was physically present sometimes, but emotionally I was always millions of miles away, thinking about the next meeting, the next acquisition, the next zero in my net worth. I had argued, of course, told her that everything I did was for them, to give them the best life possible. But Sarah just shook her head with tears in her eyes and said, "David doesn't want the best life possible. He wants you. And you're not here." After they left, I threw myself even deeper into work. Worked 20-hour days, closed bigger deals, made more money, bought more things. But the emptiness only grew. It was like trying to fill a bottomless pit. Each professional achievement only made clearer how lost I was. My few real friends had tried to talk to me. "You need to slow down," they said. "You need to find balance," but I pushed them away. Balance was for people who didn't have enough ambition. Slowing down was for the weak, or at least that's what I told myself while drinking my 5th espresso at 11 at night. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message today. That particular Thursday, I had just closed the biggest deal of my career. Acquired a competitor for $300 million. Should have been celebrating. Should have been euphoric. But when I picked up my phone to call someone, I realized I had no one to call. My parents had passed away years ago. My wife wouldn't answer my calls anymore. My son was too young to understand. My employees weren't my friends, they were my subordinates. So there I was, sitting alone with 300 million more in valuation and feeling more miserable than when I had nothing. That's when I felt a presence behind me. I turned quickly, startled. My building had top-level security. Nobody should be able to get up here without being announced. But there was a man standing at the entrance to the terrace, looking at me with eyes that seemed to see through all the layers of success and ego to the empty core of my being. "Who are you?" I asked, standing from my chair, my heart racing. "How did you get up here?" "My name is Jesus," he said simply. "And I came because you called me." I laughed, but it was a nervous, uncomfortable laugh. I didn't call anyone. "And Jesus? Seriously? What's the joke here? Did someone send you? Was it Mark?" He always had a weird sense of humor. The man didn't smile, just kept looking at me with those deep, knowing eyes. "You called me 30 minutes ago when you thought it would be better not to be here anymore. When you felt that having everything meant nothing. When you realized your success is just a mask for your emptiness. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications for more transformative content." I felt my blood run cold. Nobody knew those thoughts. Nobody was here with me. How could he know? "I don't know who you are or what you want, but I need you to leave my property now." I tried to sound authoritative, but my voice trembled. "Michael," he said my name with a familiarity that completely disarmed me. "You've spent your entire life building an empire, but you forgot to build a life. You've accumulated wealth but lost treasures. You conquered the world but lost your soul. And now you're sitting on top of the mountain you climbed, realizing the view isn't worth the loneliness. Each word was a direct hit. Each phrase exposed a truth I had been avoiding for years. My legs went weak and I sat back down in the chair. "What do you want from me?" I asked, my voice now just a whisper. "It's not what I want. It's what you need." Jesus approached and sat in the chair beside me. "You need to understand why having everything doesn't give you peace. You need to see the real reason why your heart is empty, even though your bank account is full." "And what is that reason?" I asked, almost afraid of the answer. "Because you're chasing things that were never designed to fill the void you feel. Money wasn't made to give peace. Success wasn't made to give purpose. Power wasn't made to give love. You're trying to use the wrong tools to build something they can never build. Leave a comment telling how this message is impacting you." "But I did everything right," I protested. "I worked hard, built businesses from scratch, created jobs, paid my taxes. Never stole, never cheated. I did everything they say you should do to be successful." "Yes," Jesus agreed. "You followed all the world's rules to be successful in the world. But you forgot God's rules for having peace in your soul. And now you've discovered that you can gain the whole world and still lose what really matters." "What did I lose?" I asked, though deep down I already knew the answer. Jesus gestured around the empty penthouse. "Look around you, Michael. You have a 5-bedroom apartment and sleep alone in one of them. You have a dining table for 12 and eat alone in front of your laptop. You have a home gym that collects dust, a home theater where nobody watches movies. You built a palace, but you're living in a prison." The words hurt because they were true, painfully, undeniably true. "So what should I have done?" I asked with growing frustration. Should I have stayed poor? Should I have rejected success? Should I have settled for mediocrity? "No," Jesus said firmly. "There's nothing wrong with success. There's nothing wrong with prosperity. God doesn't call you to poverty, but He calls you to right priorities. And your priorities are completely upside down." He stood and walked to the edge of the terrace, looking out at the city lights. "Tell me, Michael, when was the last time you had a real conversation with your son? Not a quick call between meetings, not a rushed hi when you passed by his room, but a real conversation where you actually listened to him. Hit that like if this message is transforming something inside you." I tried to remember, really tried. But the memories blurred into a haze of business commitments and absences. "I don't know," I finally admitted. "It's been a long time. And your wife? When was the last time you looked into her eyes and really saw her? Not as the mother of your child or the person who managed your household, but as the woman you promised to love above all else." Tears started burning in my eyes. "I can't remember." "Exactly," Jesus returned and sat again. "You were so busy building your empire that you didn't notice your real kingdom was crumbling. You were so focused on gaining more that you didn't see you were losing everything. But I thought I was doing the right thing." My voice broke. "I thought giving them a comfortable life, a nice home, expensive education, trips was love, was provision, was being a good father and husband. Provision is important," Jesus said gently. "But provision without presence is just money. Your son doesn't need a distant provider. He needs a present father. Your wife doesn't need an empty luxury apartment. She needs a husband who's emotionally available. Subscribe to the channel and be part of this community seeking real transformation." "How do I fix this?" I asked desperately. "Sarah already left. Took David with her. The divorce papers are being drawn up. I ruined everything." "You ruined a lot, yes." Jesus didn't soften the truth. "But ruined doesn't mean irreparable. Destroyed doesn't mean beyond restoration. You still have time. But only if you're willing to make real changes, not just surface ones." "What do you mean?" "Michael, are you willing to lose everything you've built if it means getting your family back? Are you willing to step down as CEO? Reduce your standard of living? Work less, earn less? Be less in the eyes of the world if it means being more in the eyes of those who really matter?" The question hit me like a punch in the gut. "You're asking me to give up everything I worked to achieve." "I'm asking what really matters to you," Jesus replied. "Because you can't serve two masters. Either you serve money, success, status, or you serve love, family, God. You've been trying to serve both, and you're discovering it's impossible. I sat in silence for a long time, processing his words. My entire life had been built around the idea that more is better. More money, more success, more recognition. But for the first time, I was being forced to question whether that formula was right. Share this video now and bring this message to more people who need it. I don't know if I can do that, I admitted. I don't know if I can just walk away from everything I built. I'm not asking you to walk away, Jesus clarified. I'm asking you to reorder, to put first what should come first, to understand that success without relationships is failure, that wealth without love is poverty, that achievements without peace are defeats. He placed his hand on my shoulder. Let me show you something. Come with me. Before I could protest, I felt a shift in the air around me. Suddenly, we weren't on my terrace anymore. We were in a place I recognized immediately, Sarah's apartment, where she was living with David since the separation. It was much smaller than my penthouse, a modest 2-bedroom in Brooklyn. How did we? I started, but Jesus put his finger to his lips. Just watch, he said. I looked through the living room window. Sarah was sitting on the couch with David beside her. They were building something with Legos together, laughing at something. David showed her what he had built, and she pulled him into a hug. He wrapped his arms around her and said something I couldn't hear, but it made her smile through tears. It was a simple scene. Ordinary, nothing extraordinary. But there was something in it that made me realize what I had lost. There was connection. There was presence. There was genuine love flowing between them. Leave your comment telling what this story means to you. Look at their faces, Jesus said softly. See the peace, the joy. They don't have the penthouse, don't have the luxury cars or the unlimited budget, but they have something you don't have. They have each other truly. Tears started rolling down my face. They look so happy without me. It's not that they're happy without you, Jesus corrected. It's that they've learned to find joy despite your absence. But that doesn't mean they don't miss you. Doesn't mean they don't wish you were there, truly present, not just physically, but emotionally. The scene changed. Now we were in David's bedroom. He was lying on his bed, holding a photo of me. It was from when he was 7, and we had gone to a baseball game together. One of the few days I'd actually stopped working and spent time with him. In the photo, he was on my shoulders, laughing. I miss him, I heard him say. Sarah was sitting beside him, stroking his hair. I know you said Dad is really busy, but does he still love me? Sarah's heart clearly broke at the question. She pulled David into a hug. Of course he loves you, sweetheart. Your father loves you so much. He just doesn't know how to show it the way you need. But if he really loved me, wouldn't he be here? David asked with the simple, painful logic of a child. I don't care about the expensive presents or the trips. I just wanted him to come to dinner sometimes, or help me with my homework, or watch my soccer games. Hit that like if you believe in the power of change and redemption. I couldn't take it anymore. I fell to my knees right there, sobbing. Jesus knelt beside me, his hand still on my shoulder. He thinks I don't love him, I managed to say through tears. My own son questions whether I love him because I was never there. And he's right to question, Jesus said, his voice gentle but honest. Because love without action is just a word. You can say you love your son 1,000 times, but if your actions don't show it, your words are empty. I thought I was showing love by giving him everything materially. Material is easy, Michael. Anyone with money can buy things. But time, presence, attention, emotional vulnerability, that costs something far more valuable than money. It costs you. And you weren't willing to pay that price. The scene changed again. Now we were in a coffee shop where Sarah was sitting with a friend. I heard the friend ask, "So, are you really going through with the divorce?" Sarah stirred her coffee for a moment before responding. I don't want to, if I'm being honest. I still love Michael. Probably always will. But I can't keep living like that. Can't raise our son thinking that kind of marriage is normal. That it's okay to be ignored. That it's okay to always come second to work. But what if he changed? The friend asked. Sarah gave a sad laugh. Men like Michael don't change. They are who they are. And I have to accept that the man I fell in love with 20 years ago doesn't exist anymore. He was consumed by ambition and ego. Wait, I turned to Jesus. She still loves me, even after everything? Love doesn't disappear just because you neglect it, Jesus said. But love can die if it's ignored long enough. And her love is hanging by a very thin thread. You still have a chance, but it's running out fast. Subscribe and turn on notifications for more transformative content. Suddenly, we were back on my terrace. The transition was so quick it left me dizzy. Or maybe it was the emotional overload of what I had just witnessed. Why did you show me that? I asked, wiping tears. To torture me? To make me feel worse than I already do. To wake you up, Jesus said firmly. You were about to give up on life because you thought you had nothing. But the truth is, you have everything that matters available to you. You just need to be willing to fight for it, to change for it, to sacrifice for it. How? I asked desperately. How do I fix years of mistakes? How do I prove to them I've changed when I've failed so many times before? By starting with a decision, Jesus said. A real decision, not just words. You need to decide right now, tonight, what really matters. And then you need to act on that decision every single day for the rest of your life. He stood and walked to the edge of the terrace, looking out at the city horizon. Let me ask you a question, Michael. If you died tomorrow, what would you want written on your tombstone? Here lies Michael Harrison, who acquired a competitor for $300 million. Or here lies Michael Harrison, who was loved by his wife and son. The question hit me like lightning, because I knew the answer. Knew what really mattered, but I had spent so many years chasing the wrong thing. I want my family back, I said with a broken voice. I want to be the father my son deserves, the husband Sarah deserves. But I'm so afraid it's too late. Share this message of hope with someone who needs it today. It's never too late as long as there's breath in your lungs, Jesus said. But you need to understand something crucial. Changing isn't just deciding to do better. It's dying to who you were and rising as someone new. It's completely renouncing the old life and embracing a new one. What does that mean practically? It means tomorrow morning, you're going to call your board and tell them you're stepping down as CEO. It means you're going to sell your company shares and use that money to set up a trust fund for David, not because he needs it, but because it will free you to focus on what matters. It means you're going to seek out Sarah and ask, not for a second chance, but for the opportunity to prove through consistent, sustained actions that you've changed. What if she says no? What if it's too late? Then you'll accept the consequences of your previous choices, Jesus said without sugarcoating. And you'll continue being the best father you can be to David, even if it means from a distance. But you won't know until you try. And trying requires vulnerability, requires humility, requires admitting you were wrong and that you don't have all the answers. He turned to face me directly. Michael, God gave you talents, gave you ability to do business, to create wealth. That's not bad, but you took those gifts and made them idols. Served them instead of serving the giver, and now you're discovering that idols never satisfy. They always demand more, but never give peace. Hit that like if this message is changing your perspective on life, so the problem isn't the money itself. It never was, Jesus confirmed. The problem is where you put money on your priority list. The problem is you loved money more than you loved your family. The problem is you found your identity in your bank account instead of finding it in who God created you to be. I sat in silence, letting his words penetrate. My entire life had been built on wrong foundations, and now those foundations were crumbling, revealing how unstable they always were. You said people who have everything can't find peace, I said slowly. What's the real reason? Because peace doesn't come from having, Jesus said. Peace comes from being, from knowing who you are, from living aligned with your purpose, from having genuine relationships, from being connected to something bigger than yourself. You can have billions and be empty, or you can have little and be complete. It's not about how much you have. It's about who you are and whom you serve. Jesus walked back to where I was sitting. Let me tell you a story. There was a man very wealthy, who came looking for me a long time ago. He had followed all the rules, had been a good person, but still felt something was missing. So I told him, "Go, sell everything you have, give to the poor, and follow me." "What did he do?" I asked. "He went away sad because he had great wealth. He wasn't willing to let go of what was holding him back to gain what he needed." "Are you asking me to do that? Sell everything and become poor?" "No," Jesus said. "I'm asking you to release your dependence on what you have, to stop finding security in your bank balance, to stop measuring your worth by your net worth, to understand you're not what you own. You're a child of God, a husband, a father. Those are your true identities." He sat again beside me. "Michael, the real reason why those who have everything can't find peace is simple. They're looking for peace in the wrong places. They're trying to fill spiritual voids with material solutions. It's like trying to quench thirst by drinking salt water. The more you drink, the thirstier you become. Subscribe to the channel and help us bring this message to more families. So where should I look for peace? In authentic relationships. In purpose that goes beyond profit. In serving others instead of just serving yourself. In God, in family, in love that gives instead of love that only receives." I looked around my empty penthouse again, saw everything with new eyes. It wasn't a symbol of success. It was a monument to my failure at what really mattered. "I want to change," I said with growing conviction. "I want to really change. Not just talk about it, but do it." "Then are you ready to pay the price?" "What price?" "The price of dying to your ego, of admitting you were wrong, of being vulnerable, of possibly being rejected, of working less and earning less, of being less impressive in the eyes of the world, to be more present in the eyes of your family, of trading success for significance." I took a deep breath. Everything in me resisted these ideas. Years of conditioning screamed that this was weakness, that this was giving up, that this was failure. But a deeper voice, a voice I had ignored for too long, whispered that this was the only way to finally find what I was looking for. "Yes," I said finally. "I'm ready. Share this video with someone who needs to believe in miracles again." Jesus smiled. It was the first full smile I saw from him. "Then let's start now." "Not tomorrow, not next week, now." "What do you mean?" "Get your phone. Call Sarah. Now. It's almost midnight. If it was about a business deal, you'd call at any hour, wouldn't you? But when it's about your family, suddenly you're concerned about appropriate times." He raised an eyebrow. "That's exactly the kind of thinking that needs to change." He was right. How many times had I called business partners at 3 a.m? But my wife? That could always wait. With trembling hands, I picked up my phone and dialed her number. It rang once, twice, 3 times. She wasn't going to answer. Why would she? Then on the 5th ring, "Michael, it's almost midnight. What happened? Is David okay?" "David's fine," I managed to say. "Sarah, I know it's late. I know you're probably sleeping. But I need to say something, and if I don't say it now, I might lose the courage." There was a pause. "Okay, I was wrong. About everything. You were right when you said I was married to my work. You were right when you said I wasn't present. You were right about everything, and I was so blinded by my own pride and ambition that I couldn't see it. Hit that like if you believe God always has a plan, even when we don't understand it. Michael, we've had this conversation before. You've apologized before, and then nothing changes." "I know," I replied quickly. "I know words don't mean anything now. But Sarah, something happened tonight. Something that made me really see, for the first time in years, what I've become and what I've lost. And I don't want to live like this anymore. I don't want to be the man who has everything, but has nothing of what matters." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I want to change, really. Not just talk, but do. I'm stepping down as CEO. I'm selling my shares. I'm completely restructuring my life so that family comes first. Not as something I say, but as something I live every single day." I heard her take a deep breath on the other end. "Michael, how many times have you promised to change before? How many times did you say you'd work less, that you'd be more present, and then nothing changed?" "Many times," I admitted. "Many times. And I have no way to prove right now, tonight, that it's different this time. All I can do is ask for a chance to show through actions, not words. Consistent actions day after day, week after week. I don't know if I can trust that again. Her voice broke. I don't know if my heart can take being broken again when you fall back into old patterns. Then don't trust me yet, I said. Just let me prove it. Let me start by showing up. Let me be there for David. Let me show you that the man you fell in love with still exists. Somewhere underneath all this pride and ambition, subscribe and share to bring hope to thousands of families. There was a long silence. So long I thought she had hung up. Then finally, David has a soccer game tomorrow at 10 in the morning. You've already missed the last 12 games. If you really want to prove you've changed, be there. Don't show up late, don't just appear at the end. Be there from the beginning. I'll be there, I promised. I swear I'll be there. We'll see, she said softly, and then hung up. I looked at Jesus, who had watched the entire conversation with a gentle smile. She gave me a chance. She gave you an opportunity to prove you've changed, Jesus corrected. But Michael, understand this clearly. This isn't a second chance. This is your last chance. If you fail now, there won't be another opportunity. So you need to be absolutely committed. I am, I said with all the conviction I had. I'm ready. Then sleep now. And tomorrow your new life begins. It won't be easy. There will be days when you'll want to go back to old habits. Days when the temptation to prioritize work will be strong. Days when you'll wonder if it's worth it. But remember this night. Remember the emptiness you felt having everything. Remember that peace doesn't come from how much you have, but from who you are and how you live. Leave your comment. Share this video and subscribe to the channel. Jesus started to fade, his form becoming less solid. Wait, I called. You're leaving? I'm never leaving, Michael, he said, his voice echoing. I've always been here, waiting for you to stop running long enough to hear me. And I'll always be here, guiding you, if you choose to follow me instead of following money. And then he disappeared, leaving me alone on the terrace. But for the first time in years, the loneliness didn't feel so heavy, because I had hope, had purpose, had a reason to wake up tomorrow that had nothing to do with numbers on a screen. That night, I slept better than I had in months. The next morning at 8:30, I was in my car heading to the soccer field. I stopped on the way and bought flowers. Not expensive roses from a luxury florist. Just a simple bouquet of sunflowers from a street vendor. Sarah's favorite flowers. Arrived at the field at 9:45. 15 minutes before the game started, Sarah was in the bleachers with her friend. When she saw me, her eyes widened in surprise. I climbed the bleachers and sat beside her, offering the flowers. For you, I said simply. She took the flowers, her hands trembling slightly. You actually came. I said I would come, and I'll keep coming. To every game, every recital, every school event, every moment I missed before, I'll be there for all the next ones. Her friend looked at me with cautious curiosity, then at Sarah, then quietly moved to give us space. When the game started and David ran onto the field, our eyes met. The surprise on his face was replaced by pure joy. He waved at me and I waved back, feeling tears in my eyes. He played like I'd never seen before. Every run, every pass was done with extra energy. And when he scored a goal in the second half, he didn't run to his teammates. He ran straight to the bleachers, straight to me. Dad, did you see? Did you see my goal? I saw it, buddy, I said, climbing down from the bleachers to hug him through the fence. It was amazing. You were amazing. You were really here the whole time, he said with wonder. You didn't arrive late. You didn't have to leave early. You stayed, and I'll stay, I promised, for this game and all the next ones. Share this message with someone who needs to hear this today. After the game, I invited everyone for ice cream. Not at some fancy ice cream parlor, just at the local shop where other families went. We sat at a plastic table under a faded umbrella, and it was the happiest meal I'd had in years. David talked non-stop about the game, about school, about his friends. And I listened, really listened. Didn't pretend to listen while checking emails on my phone. Didn't interrupt to take important calls. Just listened, present in the moment. Sarah watched everything cautiously, but I could see something changing in her eyes. Not trust yet, but maybe the spark of hope. In the following days, I kept my word. called my board, and announced I was stepping down as CEO. They were shocked, tried to convince me to reconsider, but I was firm. I had a new CEO to run operations while I started the process of selling my shares. The business world was in an uproar. "Michael Harrison is having a nervous breakdown," they said. "He's throwing away everything he built," they commented. But their judgments didn't bother me anymore, because for the first time I knew what really mattered. I started having regular dinners with Sarah and David. At first they were tense, uncomfortable, but gradually we began to find our rhythm again. I started helping with homework, taking David to school, being present for bedtime conversations, and every night before sleeping, I thanked Jesus for that night on the terrace, for showing me the truth before it was too late, for giving me the opportunity to choose what really mattered. Hit that like if this story is transforming your life. 3 months later, Sarah invited me for dinner at her place. Just the two of us, after David went to bed. "Michael," she began, her hands nervous on the table, "I've seen the changes, seen you showing up consistently, seen you choosing David over meetings, seen you being the father he always needed. And?" I asked, barely daring to breathe. "And I want to try again. Not because everything's perfect, not because I fully trust yet, but because I see a different man than the one I left 8 months ago. I see the man I fell in love with 20 years ago, but better, wiser, more humble, more present." Tears rolled down my face freely. "I won't let you down. Not this time. Because I've learned that having you and David is worth more than all the businesses in the world. That sleeping peacefully next to you is worth more than all the empty penthouses. That hearing my son laugh is worth more than all the boardroom applause." She stood and came to me, and for the first time in months, we hugged for real. And in that hug, I felt something I had lost. Peace. True, deep peace. That was 2 years ago. Today, we live in a house much smaller than the penthouse. I sold that empty palace and bought a comfortable home in a neighborhood where kids play in the street and neighbors know each other. I still have a business, but I'm no longer a slave to it. I work 40 hours a week, not 80. I earn less, but I have more. More time, more joy, more peace. David is on the school soccer team, and I haven't missed a single game. Sarah and I have weekly date nights, just the two of us, reconnecting and strengthening our foundation. And every night before sleeping, I look around my house and feel gratitude. Not for what I have, but for who I have. Not for the things I own, but for the relationships I cultivate. Subscribe to the channel and be part of this transformation community. The lesson Jesus taught me that night remains with me every day. The real reason why those who have everything can't find peace is because they're looking for peace in the wrong things. Peace doesn't come from achievements or possessions. It comes from living aligned with your purpose, from loving deeply, from serving others, from being present, from knowing your worth, not by what you have, but by who you are. If you're watching this and you recognize yourself in my story, if you have everything but feel you have nothing, listen to me. Stop. Stop running. Stop accumulating. Stop chasing. And ask yourself what really matters. Because at the end of your life, when you look back, it won't be your professional achievements that matter. It will be the moments with the people you loved, the shared laughter, the hugs given, the tears wiped, the love demonstrated. You can have millions and die empty, or you can have less and live full. The choice is yours. But choose wisely, because time is the only resource you can't buy back once it's gone. Jesus gave me a second chance. Showed me it's never too late to change, never too late to reorder priorities, never too late to choose love over ego, relationships over riches, presence over power. If he did it for me, he can do it for you. But you need to be willing to pay the price of dying to your old self, the price of admitting you were wrong, the price of making real changes, not just talking about them. The real reason why those who have everything can't find peace is simple. Because they're looking for peace in a place that was never designed to give it. But when you finally look in the right place, in genuine relationships, in purpose greater than profit, in God, in family, and love that gives itself away, you discover something incredible. You discover that peace wasn't about having more. It was about being more present, more vulnerable, more loving, more human. And when you find that, when you really find it, you realize you always had everything you needed. You were just looking in the wrong places. Leave your comment, share this message, and subscribe. Together we bring hope and transformation to thousands of families who need to know it's never too late to change, and that true wealth isn't measured by what you have, but by whom you love and who loves you back.